On a long enough timeline, I will make every story about a dick in a toilet.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheap Smut. My name is Katie Mizell.
And my name is Carl Mizell.
And this is a podcast that's never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Hi, honey, how are ya?
Well, I was better before you rickrolled.
Oh, come on, you know that song is an absolute bop.
You rickrolled people in 51 countries.
Yeah, that's true. Cheap Smut has been listened to in 51 countries. What in the world are you doing out there?
Yeah, you just rickrolled some poor bastard in Cyprus. I'm good. That was just, it seemed like a really good time to tell everybody thank you, because I was looking at our numbers the other day, and we have now crossed 50 countries.
Yeah.
People have listened to us in 50 countries all over the world. Holy shit. Thank you all. So apropos of nothing. I mean, we are closing in. I would venture to guess that by the time we finish recording this episode, we will have crossed the 7,000 listen.
7,000 downloads.
6,997.
Holy moly.
And you're not going to get that anywhere else, folks. I dare you. Think about all the podcasts you've ever listened to in your life and how many of them have ever said anything about how many times they've been listened to or played. There's some weird fucking thing where, like, it's worse than Netflix. Like, you can't know.
Yeah, you're not allowed to know.
You're not allowed to know. So all of that is to say, thank you so much. I'm doing great because people are digging our show. How are you?
Oh, I am very good. Thank you so much. I was delighted putting our son to bed a few minutes ago. He has a series of Minecraft stickers in his room, and he was peeling them and putting them up in like little stories.
Oh.
It was cool. He wasn't telling them to me. He was sort of like just muttering to himself as he was doing it, and I was just watching him sort of be in his little element, and it was super cool. I was very much enjoying it.
But does he have a podcast that's been listened to in 51 countries?
No, because we don't allow him to have a presence on the internet.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. I got a little ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. I'm pretty sure he wants to be a YouTuber.
Oh, right now, yeah, his little dream, little baby dream is to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, he just loves to sit there and play on his tablet and describe what is happening, or when he's playing games on the television, he loves to explain to no one.
Yep.
Like
he'll say hi to them. He'll, hey guys,
yep.
What's up today?
You respond to him, and he'll say, "I'm not talking to you."
It's the best. God, kids are fucking wild, man.
Oh, they're wild. But then also, it's going to be at least a week before he plays that PlayStation again because he got in trouble today. So
he did.
But enough about that. This isn't parent chat.
Nope.
This is cheap smut.
Hey,
because parents are into smut too.
I would venture a guess that a pretty large margin of smut readers are people with children.
Of course. I don't mean to make it sound like that. I always worried before I became a parent. I knew parents back, when I was a child, like you could tell, like, oh, you were different before you had kids, but somebody got it in your head that you had to change fundamentally who you were as a person.
Oh, ha.
To be a parent, and I flat out refused to do that. So I'm glad we didn't have to do that. So, with all of that said, what is on the docket for this week?
This week, I read, at the request of our listener, Tia. Hi, Tia.
Hello, Tia.
I read the book Nora's Kraken by Leigh Miller. Thank you so much for this recommendation. This book was a delight. I enjoyed this very much. This book is book number 1 in the Monster Relations Bureau series. I misspoke last week. I made some assumptions about what it was based on the title alone. It is not a dating agency book, which is what I thought it would be. It's a the Monster Relations Bureau is like a government agency.
Mm-hmm.
I then got very excited thinking about dating agency books because I haven't read one in a long time. So I'm going to dig one up and read one for the show because we haven't read one on the show either, I don't think. So it'll be very exciting for that. But for now, this book is available for $3.99 or through Kindle Unlimited. Like I said, it is book 1 in the series. There are currently 2 available. My guess is they're going to be at least 3. But for now, the second book is called Kenna's Dragon. The content warnings, tropes, triggers, tags, etc. These are verbatim from Leigh Miller's website. Content warnings for explicit sexual content, tentacles used for sex, strained parent-child relationships, historical. The following triggers take place outside of the relationships between the MCs: domestic abuse, emotional abuse, stalking, kidnapping, threat made with a firearm. And then the tropes are MF romance, fated mates, monster romance, and shifter romance. She also includes a very long list of tags, which is more of a fan fiction thing to me. Like tags where you can like sort of make jokes about what you are to expect is more of a fan fiction thing.
Oh, it's like it was written for us.
Yes. So I love this. So the tags include found family, forced proximity, you're a monster, but you're my monster, heroine with a shadowy past and hero determined to protect her, reluctant mate, I called, you came, a kraken, but also a wife guy. He looks like a pirate because he was a pirate. Enthusiastic consent is the sexiest consent. Soft monsters, and he falls first. That's a lot of tags, Leigh. That is a lot of tags.
It is a lot of tags, and I know what people mean when they use the term enthusiastic consent.
Yeah, but
it just makes me like the idea of somebody just boisterously and excitedly expressing, "You may enter me, yes," or "You can put that there, sure."
Enthusiastic consent can be summed up in a single sound. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah. That's it. I don't know why.
That's a great one.
It's a great sound.
It's a great sound.
It's directly from the television show Shoresy. I stole it.
Yeah.
It's him making that sound. But that's what enthusiastic consent sounds like in my brain.
Yeah. All right. And with that said, let's enthusiastically get into this episode.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Good transition.
Thank you.
So this book takes place in a modern day Seattle where paranormal creatures of all kinds have made themselves known. So we're in one of those, they've always been here, but then they suddenly came out of the shadows situations. They made a series of political moves and then ultimately passed the Paranormal Act, which protect supernaturals and allow them to live publicly, etc., etc. We're not getting deep into the details of that, but some paranormals are human passing, like vampires and demons and nymphs. Shifters can be human passing if they are not in their shifted form. Others are very visibly paranormal, like Naga, which are snake creatures, or the winged fae or orcs. They can choose how much these creatures can choose how much they want to interact with the human world, but all paranormals are protected in that world and their political and legal needs are overseen by the Paranormal Citizens Relations Bureau.
PCRB.
So the Paranormal Citizen Relations Bureau building is where we open the story with our FMC. Her name is Lenora Perry. She goes by Nora. She is 27. She is slim, but she is not fit. She makes it very clear, like, I like to drink high-fat chai tea lattes, and like I work in a bookstore with pastries in it. And she's very happy with that. She is very average, brown hair, brown eyes, completely unremarkable, which is exactly what she is going for, so she's happy with that. She lives and works in a very small part of downtown Seattle, and she chooses to live a very under-the-radar life, which is why she is horrified to be in this meeting with Mr. Blair, who is a paranormal, she can tell, and is a representative of the Paranormal Citizens Relations Bureau.
How can she tell?
Because he has sort of strange eyes.
Okay. Like, I mean, I've seen some people, I've seen some folks with some strange eyes. But
I believe in the case of Mr. Blair, his eyes are gold.
Oh, okay.
And they may or may not be reptilian. Mr. Blair is a dragon, which we find out later, but is not a secret.
Oh, gotcha.
Excuse me. So she can tell right from the jump that this guy is paranormal. And he has called her into this meeting to let her know that a Kraken shifter has recognized her as his fated mate.
Oh, God. Here we go again with this.
I know. We've been doing a lot of these lately.
No, I mean, we have yes, but I feel like the trope, it just has to be like the most popular trope.
Oh yeah, it's a very popular trope, and I can see why.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why, from like a psychological perspective, why I enjoy them, because it is one person who, no matter who they are or what they look like or what they do, like there is nothing about you that can put them off, because you are their like magic soulmate. Mm-hmm. I get why you would want that.
Oh, absolutely. But it feels like they're
as
getting
a trope.
Yeah, of course, but they just feel like they're getting more and more comical.
Okay.
Like this, like just some Kraken walks into the PCRB and is like, "Hey, there's this woman that works at the bookstore down the street. I'm pretty sure she's my fated mate. Can you like hook like I want to put a claim up. I want to put a claim in on this person that I do not know."
Yeah. So he tells her that the Kraken in question crossed paths with her 3 days ago, immediately went to the Bureau for assistance to have them contact her through the proper channels. He tells her that her mate's name is Elias Morgan and that he is very eager to meet her, that Krakens are long-lived, but they only ever have one fated mate, which makes them, he says, territorial. The word territorial stops Nora like dead in her tracks. She gets up. She is already having PTSD flashbacks. She is mid panic attack from her last relationship was left her with a lot of scars. So she cannot do this. She gets up to leave, and Mr. Blair's like, okay. From the moment that this starts, like, it is made very clear to Nora that she's in control of all of this. Like, yes, you are his fated mate, but what you do with that information is up to you.
Good.
So she's like, I want to leave, and he's like, okay, there's the door. Let me escort you out. On the way out, in the lobby, she runs directly into a tall, broad, handsome stranger with dark blue eyes and messy brown hair, 2 days of stubble, and a big scar that extends from his temple all the way down to his left cheek. He's very roguish and very handsome and sort of dangerous looking, and she can feel that spark of interest in him immediately. She tells him that she is not the woman that he is looking for. Like, she just senses that this is the guy. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, you're him. And she says, it ain't me. And he says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have disturbed you in any way. And she leaves. So this is obviously our MMC. His name is Elias Morgan. It said he is a sexy, roguish Kraken shifter. He is approximately 300 years old. He's got brown skin, black hair, and very deep blue eyes. The description of them was incredibly poetic. He's got a swimmer's body. Are we surprised by this? No, he is an ocean creature with a history of piracy, but he now is a legitimate businessman and is one of the best friends of Mr. Blair, whose first name is Ewan. So Elias and Ewan have a conversation. So Elias is going nuts. He's already in like full mating mode, and apparently this is the second or third Kraken book I've read where the Kraken mating response is to be incredibly like stalkery. Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe that's a trope within the stalker or within the Kraken book, like trope itself is that Kraken are stalkers.
It would appear so at this point. I'm pretty convinced that's what they're doing.
Okay. Cool. Great. So he feels the need to stalk her, to be near her all the time, to keep her safe, to keep her satisfied. All the things that we love about like a mated fate. God, jeez, ow.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. A fated mate book. You know, he wants to take care of her and love her and all these things. But he knows that Nora is jumpy as fuck. Like, he saw it in her face when she was in the lobby. So he's not going to pursue her. He asks Ewan about what he knows, but Ewan tells him that Nora has to come to him, that the Bureau is not going to intercede in any way or give him any help. The only thing they did was facilitate this information being given to Nora. That's it. The only reason that the director of the Bureau, because Ewan Blair is the director of the Bureau of Relations, the only reason that he is involved in this at all is because Nora is a special case. But he's not going to tell Elias why Nora is a special case, because that's none of Elias's business either. Nora can tell him if she wants to tell him.
Okay, so does Nora know she's a special case?
Nora knows her own past.
Okay, so she's all right.
Yeah, but anything that Elias doesn't need to know, Ewan's not going to tell him.
Of course.
Yeah. So Elias leaves the Bureau. There's a scene of him like walking out and smelling her on the wind and having to force himself to walk in the other direction. Like, yeah, he's stalkery. He's a stalker.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Big Penn Badgley in you vibes.
Absolutely. But in his case, he does not see her for several days, because several days later, Nora is happy to find that she has not run into him again. She was nervous that he was going to track her down, but he hasn't tried to contact her. She works at a bookstore called, I think it's called Tea and Bros, but it's all one lower, like it's one capital letter and the rest is lowercase, so it looks like Tanned Bras. But I think it's Tea and Bros.
Before you move on, I have a confession to make. I was driving down around Metro Detroit for work the other day.
Yeah.
And I was behind a car and was like, what does that mean? Until I realized that for some reason my brain had suddenly forgot a very common word. So I cannot remember the model or the make of the car or the manufacturer, but it was a Discovery, and it had, on the back across, it had letters Discovery, but they didn't look like they were supposed to be on the car. And I was like, what is Disco Very? And then it occurred to me that no, that is the word discovery, which is ironic.
You discovered it.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah. So there you go. Fun fact about what goes on in my brain when I'm driving around for work.
Well, so it happens to all of us, because my brain got very confused every time it saw Tanned Bras. But so the morning before she goes to work, the next time she has to go to work, she decides she wants to get coffee, but she goes to a different coffee shop because she knows that Elias ran into her at her usual coffee shop. So she goes to a different one that's nearby. I mean, this is Seattle. There are coffee shops everywhere. But then after getting her latte and walking back out, she runs into him, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I came to this one to avoid your usual one, so I wouldn't run into you here.
I am trying.
I'm trying so hard. This entire book, he's trying so hard. It was one of the things I really appreciated about Elias as a character, is that he is not smooth in any way. He is a fumbling, bumbling, sweet baby angel who is constantly terrified of saying the wrong thing. Oh. He's so sweet.
Can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very human, real for not being human. He's very real, and I love him. So she doesn't believe him when he says that he came to this one because it was around the corner from where he works. So she's like, where do you work then? He says, I work over there in the Morgan Blair building. And then some things fall into place for her, and she's like, okay, when you say your last name is Morgan, do you mean that you are the Morgan of Morgan Blair? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, and the Blair, would that be the Mr. Blair I met yesterday who works for the fucking government agency in charge of paranormals? And he's like, yeah, we were in business for a long time until he decided to start the Bureau when the acts became law. So he bought me out, but before that, we've been friends for hundreds of years. And she's just like, her brain cannot comprehend. So she is completely freaking out. She is looking for anonymity. She is hiding. And a major business figure and a political powerhouse in paranormal citizenship are now both recently in her sphere.
Yeah. Not ideal.
Yeah. So even if she does, kind of like Elias, and even if she kind of feels bad that she brushed him off so suddenly, because she did see on his face, like even in the first meeting, she saw that he did not want to cause her any trouble. He felt bad. Like he was like, oh my God, I brought her to this, like, a government building. I feel bad about this. But she still can't. She can't do anything, but she just runs away. He reaches out to comfort her. She starts to back away, and he just reaches out to comfort her. But as soon as his hand touches her, she freezes and pulls away and screams, like, do not touch me. He apologizes profusely. She sees the guilt. She sees the regret on his face, but she also tells him to stay away from her. And he's like, absolutely. And she walks away. Back at his office, Elias then does a deep dive on the internet, trying to find anything that he can about Nora, because obviously she is way more traumatized than just like a little nervous that a Kraken is interested in her. Eventually, he does find her by Googling a combination of the words Nora and Congress. So when you say that he will go to any lengths, you mean like women who should be in the FBI finding your hookup from last night. Any lengths. Like, this guy went deep, and he found her.
He just got a dictionary and just started.
Well, he's like
Nora Aardvark.
Nora Aardvark. And so in his brain, his thought process was like, if Blair is involved, then there's something to do with the government. So he just started Googling her name and government words. And I was like, yes, I appreciate the hustle. I do. I appreciate it.
Nora, filibuster.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Nora, tort reform. No, that's law.
Tort reform. Nora, ombudsman.
Damn it. I love that
You
word.
were trying to think of a funny government word, too.
Yes, and that was the one I was trying to think of.
Ombudsman. I
Yep.
got it. Okay. So he finds a picture of Nora. He is certain that it is her. She is blonde. She is thinner. She is made up and in like really flashy clothes and heels. And she is being pictured with Congressman Daniel Sorensen under the name Nora Wheeler. So Daniel Sorensen is a political legacy with very deep pockets. His daddy's a billionaire. He has a very promising career ahead of him. He is several years older than Nora. So he dives into what he can find on Sorensen, because there's a lot more information on Sorensen than there is on Daniel, or than there is on Nora. And he finds that any mention of Daniel with a girlfriend suddenly stops 3 years ago. And he expects that she left and is now hiding. And that's why she doesn't want anything to do with being involved with anyone at all. He then finds out that Daniel Sorensen has also recently been appointed to the House Committee overseeing paranormal affairs. So that is why Blair is interested in what's happening with Nora as well. It's all coming together, man. So what he has determined now is that this relationship has a potential to be extremely dangerous for Nora, and extremely dangerous in terms of a government scandal if things were to go wrong. So he has to tread very carefully. So he has chosen to leave Nora alone.
Yeah.
He is not going to do anything at all. Smart man. Yes. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't always have to be like dark. So here's the thing. This book has major 50 Shades of Grey vibes, and I don't know if it's intentional. I think it is. It feels like it has to be. And it also has some like nods to some other. It has one specific nod to Twilight that is definitely a nod to Twilight.
Yeah.
So some of this feels like, hey, Christian Grey, you know how when she told you to leave her alone, you could have? That's what this scene feels like. Like Leigh Miller just sat down with a vendetta. And I don't oppose it. I like it. The next scene is that night. Nora is having girls' night out with her best friends, Kenna and Holly, whom she met after moving to Seattle. She trusts them implicitly. They know everything about her past. Right now they are chatting over large glasses of wine, discussing the Kraken situation. They basically analyze like the safety of the situation for Nora. They analyze Nora's feelings, her options. In the end, she's not sure what she should do. She really she never thought about dating after she left DC. She just thought about getting away from Daniel. So now that she has an opportunity to possibly even consider dating, she's frozen, especially when she considers a long-term word like mate. Like that's a forever word.
Yeah. Fated.
Yeah.
I had no say
exactly.
in this
exactly.
lifelong relationship.
It freaks her out. Her friend Holly, though, has dated some monsters, and she has seen some of their friends who have mates, and she's like, no, this is I aspire to have that. It looks beautiful and very peaceful and loving and safe. If Nora has the opportunity to have something like that, shouldn't she take it? Shouldn't she allow herself to have that? Nora says that she'll think about it, but she doesn't know. The next day, she has a meeting with Blair, but in a park, spies, straight up. He apologizes for invading her privacy and for sending an agent to her place of work to find out where she worked. He ultimately says that this meeting that he is having now with her is as Elias's friend. He is not going to do anything as a government agent. He just wants her to know that Elias is ready, willing, and able to cherish and love her if she gives him the chance. And she's like, damn, bro. Okay. Shit.
When you put it like that.
Okay. So her next stop is the Morgan Blair building to see Elias, who was in a meeting at the time with some long time contract associates who were well, now that we know that you're a Kraken, we don't want to do business with you anymore, but we don't want to be seen as racist, so we're going to make it about other things. Anyway, he gets to end that meeting, and Nora comes in, and they have a pretty quick chat where she expresses interest in getting to know him more, and he is the ultimate win. She wants to talk to me. It was so cute. Every single time she gives him a millimeter, he celebrates it like it is the win of the universe. Yeah. I love Elias Morgan.
I know how he
so
feels.
Earnest.
Yeah.
He tells her that she is in control of this entire situation, that he knows the fated mate thing is freaky, and they can go as slow as she wants to go, starting with let's go on a date. Let's just go on a date like normal people do, but except when she arrives for the date the next evening, he has set up a private date at the aquarium because he has given a lot of money to the aquarium. So when he calls and says, I want to bring a woman there to impress her, they do that shit for him. So they walk around this aquarium. It's really cute. They have this nice getting to know you date. There's some flirty stuff. They have dinner in the big dome aquarium. Yeah. They just have pizza, which is the best part of that. You're just eating pizza in this massive dome of fish.
Do they go to Pike Market and he gets horrified as they chuck fish around?
Oh no, I wish that that would be funny. Just a tentacle just snatches out and just grabs a fish.
This fish had a name.
It was Stanley. Stanley's delicious. I'm sure he does not care about Stanley. So there's a scene in a touch tank as well where they talk about the possibility of him having Kraken parts because he has Kraken parts, and she's not entirely opposed to the idea of it. So there's that as well. Eventually, after pizza, they chat some more about relationships and mating, and Nora kind of shuts down. She fully freaks out again. She didn't want this though. She wanted to be open to this date, but as soon as it got serious, she freaked out again, and she doesn't understand why this handsome Kraken would see anything in her, who is just this sad, broken, ordinary woman. And this is the first scene of true emotional intimacy between them. He calls her Little Siren.
Of course.
Because of course there is a fantastic nickname. He really sends the metaphor home, saying that he would bash into the rocks a million times for her, etc. And she leans into him and lets him hug her and allows herself to have this. This is the first time that she is even allowing herself the opportunity to be vulnerable. She still won't talk about anything. that has to do with her past. But eventually they have to leave. He drives her home. On the way, she finally mentions her past relationship and asks him how much he was able to find out, because she knows that he stalked her a little.
Mm-hmm.
And he
a
says,
bit of light stalking never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Come on.
And he says, I know you were Nora Miller and that you were in a relationship with Congressman Daniel Sorensen, and that I can infer that it ended poorly 3 years ago. She tells him that she has baggage. He tells her that it's okay. And then again, they will go as fast as she wants to go, or as slow as she wants to go. And then he offers to walk her to her door. At the door, she jumps him for a kiss, to both of their surprise. Like she was like, I wasn't intending on kissing him until he got to the door, and I was like, I kind of want to kiss this guy. But he pulls away and goes before things can get too fast. Let's see, 5 days later, Nora is at work. She is doing her closing shift alone on a Thursday evening, and she's okay with that because it's kind of slow, and like the woman she was supposed to work with has a sick kid, and it's totally okay, and she's fine with that because she is still like floating on cloud 9, stuck in this world of Elias and this kiss that they had, and it's so great. She's so happy that she is completely thrown for a loop when she suddenly sees a very silhouette outside of the window. She thinks that she sees Daniel walking by the shop. She freezes. First, she tries to like talk herself out of the panic that it's just like some average white man in Seattle, and there's a million of those. It wasn't even him, but she's already hiding behind the counter because she's terrified. So just do something. She ends up calling Elias. Elias isn't in the country, which he's like, fuck, I knew I shouldn't have left.
I knew that something like this was going to happen.
Poor sweet baby. But he does take control of the situation, which makes her feel a lot safer. So he's like, can you lock the door for the next 15 minutes? Yeah, I think I can probably do that. I am sending this person. He has security. Obviously, he's a millionaire. I'm sending this person. He is coming to do this thing. You are going to stay at my house this evening. I will be there like as soon as I can. 6 hours later, Elias lands and is arriving home after. So he was in Montreal. As soon as he got off the phone, he got on a plane. But it's been 6 hours.
Okay.
He greets Travis, who is his security guy, and his housekeeper, who is named Marta. And I swear to Christ, that is a 50 Shades of Grey reference, because I swear his housekeeper was also named Marta. Anyway.
50 Shades of Grey, if Christian Grey was a decent person and also a Kraken.
Yeah.
And not into...
was a 300-year-old Kraken and not a kind of weird possible groomer. So he has provided all of Nora's essentials for the evening. They have fed her. She has clothes. Everything is good. He goes to check on her in the guest room and finds that she is awake in there. She asks if he'll stay with her. Absolutely, he will. So they snuggle in and go to sleep. In the morning, they have this very sweet sort of cuddle that turns into a kiss that turns into a fantastic cunnilingus scene. Elias is just really giving, you know, he just really wants to make sure that she's okay. So
can I get you
anything,
tea, a breakfast
coffee,
sandwich,
an orgasm on my face,
cunnilingus, anything?
It'll make you feel better. So as she's coming down from that, she is sort of stroking the skin on his legs, and she feels a patch of Kraken skin, and he covers up like a teenage boy with a boner. He is so embarrassed by this. He is mortified because he lost even the smallest amount of control, and he doesn't want her to freak out because he hasn't really like broached the Kraken thing with her yet. He apologizes so much. Honestly, they both apologize so much for various reasons. It is so Midwestern. Neither one of them are from the Midwest.
I was going to say.
I mean, technically, Elias is from the past because he was born in 1710.
Yeah.
But Nora is from Phoenix.
But he could be a Great Lakes Kraken.
Yeah, he could be, I guess. But either way, there is so much apologizing. I was like, I know that Vancouver isn't that far away, but you are not in Canada. Stop apologizing for everything. Like, they have to have that conversation multiple times in book. They're like, stop saying you're sorry for this thing that is not your fault. Over and over.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. So she apologizes for overreacting the night before. She is absolutely sure that it was just some average white dude and not Daniel at all. And he says, no, Daniel is actually in Seattle. He came to town for bureau-related business. Blair has confirmed this. She feels really bad about getting him involved in all of this, but honestly, like he's like, you asked me for help. What was I not gonna help you?
If a friend asks for help, you help him.
But you're my mate. Like, that's my whole shtick. But also, like, a friend asks for help, you help him. So they put Daniel to the side for the rest of the day. They have a lovely day. They take the ferry to an island and they spend the day hiking and walking the beach. They have lunch together. They snuggle on the ferry deck and they talk. It was very sweet. They share some of their pasts. Nora's not close with her parents. Elias, again, born in 1710. Spent some time living as a pirate and then used the spoils of that to start the business with Blair in Seattle back when Seattle was nothing. And they built it up from nothing. It's real easy to be a billionaire when you've got 200 years on everybody else there, Mr. Morgan.
I put one shiny doubloon in the First National Bank of the Pacific Northwest, and I am living off the interest to this day.
Exactly. But he does say, like, his business, which he has built and is very large and is in like a lot of pots now, it's very ethically run. Every employee has stock and benefits, and he makes sure everybody is paid well above the minimum. Like, he takes care of his employees. Cool. You're a good guy. Appreciate you.
That's it. We need more 300-year-old hot Kraken. Running.
The only thing that could make capitalism ethical is time, because then you wouldn't have to exploit people, because on a long enough time frame you could just make your own money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that tonight because Katie doesn't want to lose a bunch of followers when they realize how very left she is.
Hope you're not a billionaire.
Sorry. So they have lunch and then she decides she wants to go home. He drives her to her apartment. So she says she wants to go to her home. He drives her to her apartment, but when she invites him up, wink, wink, they get to her door and find a note from Daniel has been stuck to her door saying that he is sorry that he missed her. So she's freaking out, PTSD, panic attack. He shouldn't know where she lives.
She's not sorry.
Yeah. She is remembering, she's having flashbacks to the sweet notes in college that slowly became very cruel and judgmental, demanding notes at the end of their relationship. And the fact that he managed to find her apartment at all means that he has access to her. It is very concerning. So Elias goes in, sweeps her apartment. It's empty. She packs a bag. They go back to his house again. Obviously, she is not staying at her apartment. On the way, she tells him about leaving Daniel. She tells him about the notes, because the notes are actually part of the leaving. Mm-hmm. The very last day, she woke up to him already having gone to work. She dropped out of college for him, had no career. He isolated her completely, financially and emotionally abused her for years. Obviously, he's a mediocre white man in government. And the morning that she decided to leave him, she woke up to a note that said that they were having dinner with his parents and what to wear to that dinner and how to behave at that dinner. And she was like, fuck you. And when he came home, she was in her pajamas. They had a fight. Ultimately, what happened is he grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her incredibly hard. She says he didn't hit her, but she thinks he would have. But when he shook her back and forth, it like rattled him enough that he sort of just walked out of the apartment and left her. Mm-hmm. So she grabbed all of her jewelry and what little cash she had and bought a bus ticket and left. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
No more. Now she's done. Excuse me. So now we have all of her tragic backstory. TM? That was also in the other tentacle book we did recently, Tragic Backstory TM. So she has been successfully hiding from Daniel for 3 years. And she knows from reports from friends back in DC that he is not happy about this. She had hoped that given enough time, he would have just forgotten about her and moved on. But of course not. Because his ego, though. They get back to Elias's house. Nora's adrenaline and tension sort of breaks until they have shower sex. Elias is like, no, we can't. And she's like, oh, no, we absolutely can because I am freaking out and I need that dick. So fuck me, please. She asks if she can see him shifted during sex. And he is absolutely stoked for this because like initially she was a little hesitant and he was like, oh, like I want a partner who will feel attracted to all of me. So the acceptance of this now is like full. He's at 150%. Let's go. Yes. First, he eats her out on the shower bench because, of course, he has like an incredible shower with a big pussy eating bench. And,
ooh, is that a pussy eating bench?
It is. It's a pussy eating bench.
Is that teak? Wow.
It's bamboo, antimicrobial.
Oh. It folds up.
Oh,
Right?
it does.
Wow.
When you don't need it, it folds up.
Wow. You thought of everything.
Well, when you're a millionaire Kraken, you can afford a really nice shower.
Been around for 300 years.
Yep. So when she comes down from that orgasm, she looks down to see that where Elias's legs were, there are now a mass of tentacles.
Mass?
A mass. Yeah. She sort of can't keep track of them or count them all.
No.
They are like sort of reaching up and trying to touch as much of her as they can. And she gets to, so she's intrigued by all of this. She's watched some Kraken porn. She kind of knows what's happening here. And so she's reaching down and sort of like feeling, getting to know it. And this is where she meets his mating arm, which
I can't wait to know how
is what it sounds like.
I need to know how that stands out from the other ones.
So it is smaller than the ones that are legs.
Okay. It'd have to be.
It's definitely still like big. It's a dick in a porn book, so it's big.
Yeah.
It's ridged and it secretes a lubricant from the tip of it, but it is otherwise like it's a tentacle. So it's otherwise a tentacle.
Yeah.
It's tentacle dick.
But otherwise
I think it sort of moves on its own still, but it's like dick shaped. I don't think it has you know what? I think it has suckers. It might have suckers.
God,
I can't remember.
No.
I can't remember. But it doesn't detach.
Oh, well, that's better.
Which is what happened with our last tentacle
Yes.
dick. So
at least this
you're
one,
welcome.
At least you always know where this tentacle
one's gonna
dick
be. Yep. It's never gonna just be over the corner.
Yep.
Chilling.
You just get up in the middle of the night
Locked in a drawer.
get up in the middle of the night to pee. Ah! It's just on
Honey,
the floor.
why is it in the sink? It needed a soak.
Your dick is in the toilet again.
Gross. Oh my God, no.
I didn't know it could lift the lid.
No, that's unsanitary. That's unsanitary.
Marta does a great job of keeping that every day, twice a day.
Ugh. So
It's a bidet.
anyway, back to my story, which is not about dicks in toilets. Not today, anyway.
On a long enough timeline,
Carl.
I will make every story about a dick in a toilet.
Anyway. Lord. So she sucks his mating tentacle. Yeah. I was going to ease you into that, but no.
Dicks in toilets, eh?
I was going to be gentle.
Oh, God.
But no, you had to be you.
All right, fine. Here it comes. She sucks his mating arm.
She sucks his mating arm and is delighted to discover that it tastes like the ocean breeze, baby.
Oh, God.
Hell yes. Hell yes, it is. I'm crying. Listener, I want you to know I've never been so proud.
She is legitimately crying.
Because the laugh that I just elicited from Carl was one. It's one of it's like a goal of mine to get him to laugh like that. So when it happens, it's a win. Oh my God, my cat is attacking my dog.
Oh God,
Okay.
that was so good.
Okay, so She's sucking his dick.
Mating arm.
And then he suggests that she like ride one of his tentacle legs to orgasm as well. So like she's, yes, absolutely on board with all of this. She's having a fantastic time. This was a great scene. So afterward, as they're coming down, Elias says that he thinks that maybe they should slow things down a little bit.
Maybe don't suck my mating arm in the shower.
Maybe less physical stuff and like spending some more time together. And Nora agrees. So they spend the rest of the weekend together, but they don't have sex again, I don't think. On Monday, Nora goes back to work, but she now has a very discreet security detail. Elias goes to meet Blair at the bureau office, and they have a conversation about Daniel and what's going on with him vis-a-vis like his government stuff. He's being shitty, and we don't really have to get into it. So Blair tells Elias that he doesn't know how Daniel got Nora's information, but that the most likely scenario is that he got it from someone within the bureau. So they're doing a full investigation.
There's a mole.
Yeah. In the meantime, they have moved all of her digital data to the highest security clearance available, and they have shredded all physical documentation that he is not getting anything else about her from them. But he is devastated to know that someone within his bureau is leaking information like that. That sucks. There's a super cute friendship banter scene between Nora and Kenna and Holly at a bar. Kenna and you and Blair are going to be the couple from book 2, by the way. So I assume possibly Holly and a character we have yet to meet will be book 3. After her dinner with the girls, Nora goes home with Travis to get a few more things from her apartment. She also grabs like an envelope of keepsakes and photos from her past to show to Elias. Back at the Kraken house, she has a very quick conversation with Marta, who is going to be finishing up her shift to go on vacation to celebrate her 30-year anniversary with her wife. So cute. Let's see. Nora goes through some of her photos, reminisces about her past, thinks a little more about Daniel and getting out of that, etc., etc. But Elias never comes out of his room, so she eventually goes to find him, and she finds him fully shifted inside of the massive indoor-outdoor infinity pool that he has on the side of his fucking house, because of course he
Naturally.
does. So she's intrigued. She goes to the edge of the pool to get a better look at him in his fully shifted form. He's like massive.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just pointed out a spider on our wall.
There's a spider on the wall. He's just crawling along. What's up, buddy? She speaks to it, and then as soon as she speaks to it, it reaches a tentacle out to grab her. He stops himself before he can, but what was happening was the Kraken, like the fully shifted Kraken, is sort of a separate entity, as we see in our shifter romances, and he wanted his Nora, so he wanted to pull her into the water with him. Yeah, so that's how that works. He half shifts back. When he is half shifted, he's like hot Ursula, basically.
Yeah.
An octopus man. He tells her that she doesn't need to get in the water. Like, she's like, I kind of want to get in the water. And he's like, I don't know about that. I don't know what's going to happen if you like get into my water with me. Things might get nuts. I don't know. But she's like, absolutely, I'm getting in there. And then they have some fantastic shifted sex in the pool. So at one point he uses his tentacles to lift her out of the water and just pull her to his face and eat her out. And I was like, okay, so there are benefits to having many tentacles. Great. They're still freaky.
Yeah, no,
they're still freaky.
I can appreciate the functionality while also still being repulsed.
Yeah. There are a lot of great descriptions of like looking down into the water and watching herself being fucked by an independent tentacle, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. This was a monster porn book, kids, so let's fucking go, man. Don't forget about it. There's some great tentacle stuff in here.
And to be clear, before we move on, I'm not repulsed by the idea of that happening in a book. I don't like tentacle creatures.
Carl is a little bit freaked out by tentacles in general.
Yeah.
He wouldn't choose to have sex with a Kraken.
Yeah. I want to be clear. I am not freaked out by this thing that might be doing it for you.
Yeah.
I'm freaked out about tentacles in general.
Yeah.
Just so you're clear. Please continue.
So anyway, this was our first full sex scene. Absolutely glorious. 20 out of 10. It was great. When they're done, he shifts back and carries them both to bed. Somewhere in this scene is also where they talk about like family planning and STIs and things like that. I am not going to talk about oviposition because I simply do not want to, but that is how they would have children. You can look that up on your own. If I ever do a book about that, I'll be way more prepared.
Oviposit. Oviposit?
Yep.
Or oviposition?
Yep. Anyway, so he says when the time is right and she is interested in having a family, they can have one. She says that she never really thought about it, but okay, it's good to know that it's an option.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. In the meantime, he cannot get or transmit STIs. She is also clean. Cool. We've had that conversation.
Well, it wouldn't matter if she wasn't, but good to know.
This is also around the time that he tells her that the magic in the mating bond will give them similar lifespans. So his lifespan will be shorter, but hers will be longer. They'll sort of meet in the middle. Oh. She feels terrible for shortening his lifespan. She's like, you're going to lose a couple 100 years because of me. That's awful. And he's like, okay, but I would rather lose a couple 100 years than never know my fated mate. So I think I'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Their relationship is super cute. It's progressing really nicely. My notes here say we are 75% of the way through this story and nothing bad has happened. What is going to happen? Yeah. I would almost rate this book as cozy because the grief is so very brief.
You got that good brief grief.
Yeah. It's just a little brief moment of unpleasantness in their lives. It's fine. So one evening they arrive home from a day out together to find Elias's friend Casimir, who is a vampire, who may or may not be a Malfoy from description, and is definitely related to the Alaskan vampires from the Twilight books. Shout out to Leigh for that great little Easter egg there. He is pale and white blonde and super hot. He is Casimir. He is at the house waiting for them. Blair soon comes in with Travis, and Nora invites everyone to have dinner. They have this really sweet found family scene. They briefly discuss the Sorensen problem, and Casimir is like, I could just murder him. And Elias is like, no. We're not doing anything violent. It freaks Nora out. Everybody shut up. He is super happy to have her in his home with his friends, his found family. This whole scene was really, really great. He has given her a place inside of his home for as long as she wants it, with the full knowledge that she will be leaving when she is safe again. Mm-hmm. Let's just be clear that she did not move in. She's there because something's wrong.
Yeah.
But he is happy that while she is there, she is happy to be there. Let's see. Then we had a very quick break for an anal scene in the pool.
Okay.
That was really nice. A few pages of inner monologues about like happiness and rightness and how great the sex is. Then our next big point of plot is a visit from Blair, where he tells Elias and Nora that Daniel is officially back in DC and he will be keeping an eye on him through the local contacts. Blair is angry he has still not been able to find who the mole is within his bureau, but they will keep an eye on Sorensen until they know what is happening. In the meantime, at least they know that Sorensen is now several 100 miles away in Washington, D.C., while they are in Seattle. After Blair leaves, Nora says that she wants to go home now, that Daniel is back so far away. She also wants to pull back on the security. She wants to go back to living a more normal life, going on normal dates, distancing themselves, letting their relationship grow more naturally. Elias is like, yes, absolutely. This is all what we always knew was going to happen. But if he can please just have Travis install a few extra security measures in her apartment, and also that he wants her to know that his feelings for her have not changed, that their relationship will continue to go forward. Like, he will give her whatever she needs, however long she needs it. He's not going anywhere, and he's gonna live for a really long time. So just take your your piece, baby girl.
So she apparently.
Yeah, but she now does call him her boyfriend, which he feels really weird about, like being a 300-year-old man.
Yeah.
And her fated mate. But he's like, yeah, this is my girlfriend.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, Nora. So they seal this deal with some truly rough and tumble but unshifted sex on his desk at his office, because this conversation happened at his office. Let's see. 1 week later, Nora is leaving work. She's musing on the week. She is very happy to have returned to normal, but now she is being forced to acknowledge that there is something inside of her that is also unhappy to be separate from Elias, that she kind of doesn't want to say goodbye to him at the end of lunch, that she kind of wishes that he would just live in her home or her in his, that there's something in her chest that is starting to feel like it's a living thing inside of her. This is the mating bond that we will, eventually, that you would recognize if you read Fated Mate books. You're like, oh, that's the bond. Hey, how you doing, baby? However you show up, you're always there.
Bond. Mating bond. Thank you.
Agent 00 Sexy. I'm sorry, you were drinking.
Yep.
Am I bad? Did you just waterboard yourself? I'm so sorry.
A little bit.
I'm so
but
sorry.
No, we did that thing that we do to each other all the time where we
Yeah.
say things that we don't think are going to be that funny
No.
while the other is like smoking or drinking or eating.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So, there is a voice in her head telling her that she should just move in with Elias and end all of the separation. But she is so content and happy with her life in every other way that she is ignoring that voice. And she is so terrified by her past with Daniel and the reality of giving herself to another person like that, that she can't do that. And she is so stuck in the musing of all of that. She doesn't realize as she's standing at her bus stop that Daniel is now standing right in front of her. Daniel is his usual charming, smiling self. He asks her if she wants to get a drink and catch up, but she sasses him and tells him to go to hell. She doesn't want to have anything to do with her, to have anything to do with him.
Good for her.
And she goes to walk back to the bookstore to wait until the bus comes. But he grabs her by the arm, flashes a gun on his hip, and tells her to come quietly, which she does. Because of course she does. But at the time I read that, I was like, I'm sorry, you're a congressman?
Yeah.
You're a congressman and you're threatening your ex-girlfriend with a gun on the streets of Seattle at 5:30 on a Thursday afternoon, sir?
That is the least surprising thing in this book to me so far.
Honestly, it is not surprising. It is not surprising at all because, again, we are talking about a mediocre white man in government.
Exactly.
This man thinks he can get away with anything, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I was like, you didn't think ahead at all. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? You committed so many crimes just now.
Yeah. Now, I am not conflating the threat of gun violence with this, but all you have to do is remember that Lauren Boebert jerked a dude off at a production of some musical or whatever, and just thought that no one was going to notice that a sitting congresswoman was jerking a dude off.
I'm pretty sure it was Beetlejuice too, which is even worse because how dare you? That show is excellent.
So
way better than your mediocre Handy.
Exactly. So if somebody thinks in Congress thinks that they can just jerk somebody off
True.
at a production of Beetlejuice,
true,
they're gonna think that they can just murder somebody.
Yeah, they can just flash a gun.
Yeah.
Or
just the flashing of the gun.
Flash a gun at a bus stop in downtown Seattle at 5:30 on a Thursday afternoon. Again.
Exactly.
It's insane. So he takes her to a sort of very out-of-the-way, hole-in-the-wall bar in an alley. As they are going inside, Elias calls her cell, and it vibrates. So Daniel hears it. He pulls the phone out of her pocket, sees that it's Elias, drops it on the ground, and smashes it. They sit in the bar. They order drinks that, of course, they do not touch. He does his best to intimidate her in that way that, weak men will try to intimidate you.
Oh, yeah.
Asking what she could possibly want with this sad little life of hers working in a boring bookstore when she is meant for so much more. Of course, by so much more, what he means is meant to be his perfect trophy robot wife.
Exactly. You were working as a waitress in an uptown bar when I met you.
Yeah. Isn't it a cocktail bar?
A cocktail bar. Yeah.
Whatever way.
Either way. Don't you
I
want
picked you
me?
up. I shook you off. I turned you around. I turned you into someone new.
Isn't that the...
And now, 5 years later on... I could just keep fucking going.
Success has been so easy for you.
For you.
But don't forget, I'm the one who picked you.
Put you where you are now, and I can put you back there too.
Don't you want me?
Don't you want me?
No!
No, why the fuck would I want you? That was such a long form bit. We should cut some of that or something.
No.
No, not a word. Katie,
No.
not a word. Don't feel embarrassed. Okay.
I'll make you a trade. I'll cut that if we take out sucks his mating arm.
Nope. So Nora knows better, of course. Her life was obviously not any better with him. It would be significantly worse if she went back. And now she is realizing how finding Elias has actually given her the strength to be like a whole person again, as opposed to just a surviving person. She has a real life now. All those years with Daniel and after, they really kind of broke her. This is a not at all metaphor. It is a very plain, obvious story of how domestic abuse destroys people. And in thinking of the strength that Elias has given her, she feels that pulsing in her chest, and she sort of reaches down into it. It's right next to her heart. It's a sensation that she has had with her probably since she first met him, but she has been ignoring it this whole time.
Are we sure it wasn't the ovipositor?
I swear. I don't think it's a quee. But the description of the sensations are similar.
Okay.
Sort of a thrumming, warm feeling in your chest.
I forgot the quee.
I'm sorry, you had to remember the quee. So she reaches into that feeling as if she is reaching for Elias to come and rescue her. From his end, so Elias waits 10 minutes after that first call, because the first call where she didn't pick up, he's like, okay, maybe she's just working, or like she's on the phone with her mom or something. But the second call goes right to voicemail. Then he starts to get worried. He calls Blair for an update on Sorensen and goes to the bookstore to try and find Nora. But she's not there. And then Blair calls back and says Sorensen's not in DC. So now things are we go from 0 to 100 on the panic scale right away. Elias, desperate to find Nora because he believes that she is in danger, taps into that bond as well and starts following it. Like, it's not like it's like Siri in his head, like turn left to find your fated mate. But it does like, no, don't go that way. That feels wrong. Go that way. That feels right.
Yeah.
The magic is there. Ultimately, he finds Nora, who has been dragged out of the bar by Sorensen. He has told her that they're going to their private jet now to go back to DC, but she's like, "How fuck no, I'm not letting you take me to another location.
No.
You insane. For all I know, you're just going to drive me out of the city and fucking shoot me. Absolutely not." So she like kicks him in the shin and tries to run and starts screaming. He grabs her again and that hurts her, and that is what makes Elias speak up. So he's like, okay, well, maybe she can get away on her own and I won't have to intervene. No.
Yeah.
Elias speaks up. Daniel pulls the gun. First, he points it at Nora, and that makes Elias go, no. And then he points it at Elias, and that makes Nora go, no. And then he goes, I thought you said that you weren't that into this guy. Like, Nora's been trying to play down her relationship with Elias to try and keep him out of this. And now that he knows how much she cares for him, like, he fully snaps. I don't know. Bro.
Oh, you didn't want me to murder someone?
Yeah.
You must really like this guy.
Yeah, I guess you really like him so much because you didn't want me to shoot him in the street.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You didn't want to witness a murder.
Insane person. Either way. So he then puts the gun back in Nora's gut and threatens to kill her unless Elias lets them go. But before anything else can happen, suddenly a very large golden dragon is diving down from the sky and bashing him in the fucking chest. Nora runs and Sorensen goes flying and the gun goes flying in another direction. And here comes Casimir out of a dark alley holding the gun, being like, you fucked up, homie.
Oh,
you
yeah.
really fucked up today. They subdue Sorensen. Elias grabs Nora and gets her away. They go to, she's like full fugue state. She's not talking. She's not, the only thing she is doing is crying. And he takes her to his like, yeah, I have a condo in the city for late nights of business condo, and gets her cleaned up. And then they talk very briefly. He explains that like Blair and Casimir hopped to as soon as they knew that she was in danger. And that's why they were on scene like as soon as they were. That is the thing that moves her more than anything in all of this, is that his friends were immediately there to help her. And obviously they're supernatural. That's how they do in these worlds. That's how they do in these books. They catalog her injuries. She has some bumps and bruises, but then detectives arrive, ask her to please come down to the station to make a full statement. She agrees to do that. She wants to do it immediately. She wants to make her statement. She's tired of being quiet. So they spend the next several hours at the police station. She makes her statement. She has like photos taken and everything. And Elias is sitting in the waiting room waiting for her to make these statements, and he is just stewing in guilt. He feels terrible because the only reason Sorensen found her was because he brought her to the attention of Blair, who used his bureau resources. He feels that like this is all his fault. And he stews in that for hours and hours and hours until she comes out, and she's feeling much better because she has finally given her statement, and she has like offloaded a lot of that. Sorensen is apparently going down for a lot of other shit, not just the assault and kidnapping charges, but he's also got like insider trading and fraud going on as well.
So this is science fiction.
Because the government official is actually being taken down for insider trading?
A politician is actually facing consequences for their shitty actions?
Yeah. After they settle everything at the police station, Nora asks to go back to Elias's house. Absolutely, of course. So he takes her home. She decides that she wants to go for a swim in his pool. He comes in with her. He's half shifted, and she asks him to just hold her, which he gladly does, of course. They just float in the pool for a really long time. She has a lot to process, and he lets her process all of that. They lean into their bond. They sort of feel each other. They comfort each other in that way. Their souls touch. It's very beautiful, etc. They eventually have a conversation, which leads to him apologizing for his part in bringing Daniel back at all. And he's feeling this incredible guilt for all of this. And she reminds him that, of course, none of this was his fault because he didn't stalk her and use his government resources for ill. The only thing that she wishes in all of this was that she could go back and change time and never meet the guy in the first place, but that can't happen. So now they just have to move forward. And she asks him what he wants. Like, you have been focusing on what I want and what makes me happy after all this time. Just tell me what you want. And he says, I want you to be here all the time. I never want you to go. I want you to be here forever. And she says, okay, yeah, but like when my lease is up. And maybe after that I'll go month to month, but we'll get there, buddy. We'll get there. And he's like, yeah, well, we got all the time in the world. So you mean at least 300 some odd years before either one of us dies. So great. And then he drops the I love you, and he is not expecting her to say it back, but she does. And it's very sweet. The end. But there is an epilogue, of course. 8 months later, we have some Kraken play. So this scene starts. Nora is adrift at sea in a small rowboat waiting for Elias in his full Kraken form to come from the deep and steal her away. This is a scene that they have discussed in advance. Elias has prepared her so she knows what is coming and where they will be going. But this is something that he really wanted to do. And she was like, yes, let's do this for you, baby. So
she's wearing a bodice.
He first he's just sort of splashing the water, and she can't figure out where he's coming from, and like the whole thing is really great. And then he reaches all of his tentacles up, and he like lashes her to the boat, and he drags her off to a sea cave. And as soon as they get into the mouth of the cave, he raises her out of the boat and smashes the boat to pieces and rips her clothes off and sets her on a ledge inside of the cave. Comes up half shifted. They have incredible sex. It was great. It was a great scene. I loved it. And he was so happy because this was something that he really wanted, and he really wanted it to go well. And she was on board. She was like, yes, turn into a giant octopus and stalk me in the ocean. Absolutely. I want that for me. Yes, I do. It was so cute.
That's actually the cutest thing that anybody's ever done with tentacles.
Yeah, it really was. So it was very sweet, but also he was absolutely railing her in that scene. Like, that was not gentle. After they finish and they're snuggled up on their rock ledge in the afterglow in the clothes that he has prepped and left there with like towels all ready to go. I loved how prepared he was. Sexual Boy Scout.
Yeah. There's an edible arrangement.
Yeah. So cute. An edible arrangement. Some wet wipes. Luna Bar. As they're snuggling in the afterglow, they discuss how excited they are for the next 300 ordinary, mundane, normal years together. The end.
With my shifting.
With my giant Kraken husband.
Totally normal.
Normal, mundane years. Honey, it's the first Saturday of the month. We're going to go out and have fucking the ocean day.
Yeah. Woo!
Woo! Kraken husband. So that was Nora's Kraken by Leigh Miller. It was so sweet and bubbly.
Yeah.
And it was so cute. I just loved it. Thank you so much for that, Tia.
I was going to say, well done. You clearly have my wife down in terms of what she's into.
Oh shit. He got me good.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, thank you. What are you into?
I am into, as you know, I am into the anime Solo Leveling.
Me too.
Which you apparently knew about for a little while.
I did, yeah. A podcast that I listened to called Get Played. They have a sister podcast called Get Animated. They were watching it on that show. I had not listened to any of the episodes, but I was at least aware of it. But I did not know anything about the premise. But when you explained the premise to me, I was like, well, fuck yeah, we should give it a shot. Let's take advantage of that Crunchyroll subscription. And indeed we did. And it's fucking great.
Yes, it absolutely is. So this Solo Leveling is, it's not an isekai anime. So an isekai would be a you get transported to another dimension.
Yep.
Or in what we would call in book world a portal fantasy, but it sort of is at the same time.
There's an isekai
element,
adjacent.
Yeah, there's an element of traveling interdimensionally and then gaining power in that alternate dimension as you would in an isekai. But he uses that power more specifically in the real world. It's blowing my mind. So we've only watched 5 episodes now?
5 episodes.
And I still don't know where the fuck this is going, but I am loving it. It's just creepy enough. I am finding that I can't watch horror movies. Like I can't do horror movies and I can't do all horror books, but I have a better taste for horror books, horror comics, and horror anime.
I was going to say between the gore in this and the gore in Chainsaw Man, I was very surprised. Like there were a couple moments during the first few episodes of this show of Solo Leveling where I was like, oh, we're gonna have to turn this off.
Yeah, no,
between the
fine,
gore
which
and
is weird,
and not too much of a spoiler, but the behemoths in the dungeon, I was like, ooh. But I mean, pretty gory anime has never really turned you. I would say Attack on Titan is pretty.
Attack on Titan I find disturbing because of the sizes and the smiling faces and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, so like I don't think I can do horror movies, but I can do anime, I can do books, I can do other forms of horror. Comic is a good one.
I was gonna say I'll give you a Junji Ito and see how you do.
I will probably be disturbed, but I'll probably think it's cool also. So anyway, Solo Leveling. I said, I know very little about it. I found it through Niche T, who does another series called Assorted Beefs, which is just like sort of, it's beefs, but like beefs that don't like hurt anybody. They're just like bickery shit on the internet. And it was about the dub voice actor for Jinyu, who was being sort of attacked online by fans because they were expecting him to deliver a line a certain way, and if he didn't do a good enough job, they were going to be mad about it. Yeah, like it was wild. And
that is a huge thing in anime.
But what Niche T said was that the anime itself was good, and I was like, okay, well, I'll watch it because she said the anime was good. She was right. The anime is good. That's what I'm into. That felt like a very long.
It was, but I helped extend that.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Ugh. What are you into, my love?
I am into a lot of things, including solo leveling, but I am into the artwork of Stevie Wilson. Because if you don't follow us on the socials, you might not be aware that we are now the proud owners of, or we have stickers.
Yes,
like we have merch.
Purveyors. We are proud purveyors of cheap smut stickers.
We have stickers, and I cannot even remember how I discovered her work. I think I discovered her when I was still trying to find a way into making comic books. I feel like that's how I discovered her, and she has these amazing stickers, including my all-time favorite sticker, my emotional support himbo sticker, and of which I purchased 3. Now I have one on my laptop, one on my helmet, and then I gifted one to my friend Jack. Yep. And I loved her work so much, and so when it came time to make stickers for this show, I reached out to her and I said, I don't know if you do this, commissions, et cetera, et cetera. She said, yeah, what do you have in mind? And I was like super nervous to say, okay, so this one thing is some helmet and smut more veteran. It was filigrees and dicks, blah, blah. But my wife said a thing on an episode of the podcast that we thought would make a funny sticker, and that is the phrase "good Christian butt plug."
Yes.
And Stevie understood the assignment so well and crushed it.
Oh my God, it's so fucking funny too.
So right now we have a very limited supply. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the website up and running and how to get start selling these stickers. That will happen soon. We are sending them to our patrons as a gift, one of each of the 2 stickers. But as soon as we have them available for purchase, you will be able to purchase them, and we highly encourage you to do so and stick them in places that will make people uncomfortable, phrasing, and spread the good word about cheap smut. So that is what I'm into. But now I would like to know, what are you reading for next week's episode?
So next week, I thought I would give you some options. I'm just going to give you a list of things, and I want you to pick one.
Okay.
Minotaur, orc, elf, demon, chicken.
Well, we did eventually do our Minotaur book that you promised me.
Yes, I did. I did do the Minotaur book.
We've done a lot of those other things in various forms. I'm obviously going with chicken.
Yeah, you're going to go with chicken? Okay. So
it's my favorite protein source.
That's true. So next week, I am going into this almost 100% blind, but at the recommendation of a dear, dear friend, Gwenny.
Oh, boy.
Gwendolyn Harper. I am reading Puck and Plume by Rhea Fox.
Okay.
That's all I got for you. I know almost nothing, and I am very excited to know very little. Well, I can't wait to let you know what this one's about.
And I'm sure you will next week, but in the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Cheap Smut. If you would like to email us, please do so, cheapsmutpod@gmail.com. Down in the show notes is a link to our link tree. The top link there is a link to this book, and you can go and purchase it. It is not an affiliate link. We do not get any money for this. We are just trying to help the author out. If you would like to help us out with some money, you can do so by supporting us for just $1 a month on Patreon, like these fine folks: Stephanie Hawkins, Gemma, Lady Squishy Buns, Tia Esk, Rob Gatika, Angela McNichols, Katie Hurd, Gwendolyn Harper, Seneca O, and Rebecca K. The music that you hear in this and every episode is called Nostalgia by Mackay Beats. You can find it along with thousands of other songs free of charge for you to use at the Free Music Archive, freemusicarchive.org.
Now that I'm done traumatizing my husband with yet another tentacle book, listener, remember, if there is a book in you, write it. And if there's fucking in it, I'll read it.
And then she will come on this show, and if it has tentacles, she will giddily present it to me for your entertainment.
Now, I am out of here. Goodbye.